Hello, welcome to what was that? Welcome to my channel. This feels very surreal because I've been talking about making this channel for so long, and now I have it, and I have some videos on it, and I have new people subscribing to the page. So it feels very, very humbling, grounding, and also reassuring that you can do things that you set your mind to, and you just have to do them. So today's video is a very long one. I need to talk about the books that I half read in April, that I plan on finishing in May, and then I also need to talk about the books that I need to return to the library before I could finish them. So a lot of books to talk about today. Okay, let's get started with the library books first because they've been living in my head rent free and I need to clear up some space. Okay, so the first book is The Wellspring by Sharon Olds. I think I talked about Stag's Leap, which I finished earlier. There are like three Sharon Olds books here because in the beginning of this year, I had Obsession with her and Annie Arnog, and I read like three, four books by them. And I got a bunch of books, other books written by both of these authors as well. I was like, I'm gonna attack authors now. I'm gonna read all of your work and understand your psyche. So, cannot understand her. Girly is very complicated, but I feel like Sharon O's writing doesn't feel like poetry in a traditional sense. Her writing is very observant, very intimate, very physical. Like she notices the tiniest emotional detail and you're just sitting there thinking about your entire life. I feel like her poetry is very lived in. She does not, her poems does not feel distant or performative. And just like reading her work at the end of a day feels like someone is turning a lamp in a dark room. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it does to me. I read halfway through this book and I know I will come back for it, like I will borrow it again. So yeah, this is the first book. Next is Blood Tin Straw by Sharon Olds. I clearly went through something in April because why was I reading multiple poetry collections by the same poet in the same month? But this one felt more emotionally heavy for me. I think she tells you the truth in the most brutally honest way without trying to sound profound. And that's what makes her poetry very powerful and emotionally charged for me. And I think she's one of those writers that just writes so beautifully, naturally, or it feels natural without trying to sound profound. And that is what makes her poetry very powerful and emotionally charged for me. I will definitely read this again, and this is like the reason I'm returning it is also that poetry collections are the kind of books that wait for you. You can go back 3, 4 months later and they would just still bring you along into the same emotional world that the poet has created. So we'll definitely go back for this one. Then we have Sharon Olds' Stag's Leap. I talked about this book in my last review, but I had to talk about it again because I loved it so much. Genuinely, this is one of the best poetry collections I've read. So this deals with her divorce, heartbreak, and grief, but the writing is so vulnerable, sharp, and human that it does not feel melodramatic. It just feels real. And another thing about Sharon Olds is that she will make herself look messy in her poetry. Like she's not gonna make herself look good. If she's jealous, hurt, or she feels some complicated emotion, she's going to deliver that to you. So yeah, that's why this just felt so powerful to read. I just couldn't put it down, and there were times when I would read a line and just it would hit so hard that I had to sit there, close the book, and just look at the wall. And that's like my favorite kind of reading, where I have to just take a step back and just realize, oh my god, someone said this so beautifully and articulated what almost all humans go through. Because you go to grief in various ways, and they just did that in the best way possible. So yes, still recommending it. You should read this. Okay, changing gears completely. Next is Codebreaker by Walter Isaacson. And oh my god, I need to put this on, it's heavy. This book, I really need to pick it up again because I loved how cinematic he made a researcher's life look. So the first few chapters that I've read deal with her early life and her early education, Jennifer's early education. And this book is essentially about Jennifer Doudna, who developed CRISPR technology, which is a gene editing technology. But yeah, this does not go into too much scientific details of that. This goes into the essence of discovery and research, because research is messy, discovery is messy, and science is in general stranger than fiction, I think. So this book really captured that. It makes you feel like scientific discovery and development is a cinematic event. Like, you can feel things happening in real time. Okay, this happened, and these scientists were in a group in a lab together, and then they did something, and then other people came along and they did something together. So I love the collaborative side of this, and also she talks about being a girl and going into science, which just felt so personal. And I would definitely come back for this book as well. And also, like, I loved how this was a nonfiction, but it reads really, really fast. And I think the credit goes to the author. And I usually do try to read about scientific figures, but it's always like the book makes it, sometimes it makes it very difficult to recognize the real person. But this book was the first one where I felt that, okay, I can recognize the person behind these discoveries. I can recognize why she would go for this field. And yeah, if you like to read about scientific figures, or you are a science student, I would really recommend you read this. So next is Upstream, Mary by Mary Oliver. And I've already talked about this in my last book review. I gave this 5 out of 5 because obviously it's Mary Oliver. I love her writing. If I have to describe what her essays do to me, I would say they make me pay attention to life, pay attention to nature, pay attention to the quietness of living. And if you're someone who, because I am this way, who is workaholic and stuck in the toxic productivity cycle, I would really recommend you read her poetry or her essays, specifically this book, because it just really quietens you down. It really helped me ground myself as an individual and step away from the worldly things or materialistic things, and just look around and immerse myself into nature again, because I love nature, I love trees. So reading this really brought me back to noticing these things again. So yes, I would definitely recommend you read this. Okay, next I got Just Kids by Patti Smith, and everyone who I trust with the taste in books loves this book, and I understand why. So this talks about Patti Smith and Robert Mapplethorpe's years in New York, and this is before they were famous, and they were living their life in New York, trying to believe in their art and themselves. So personally, I love to read books where it's about someone before they got famous, so I can sort of see them without the fame. And this book, even though I've only read a little bit of it, I couldn't put it down. In the beginning, she talks about creating her own prayer before going to bed, and the innocence in that entire story was amazing. And then she also talks about getting the box of her friend who was sick. Um, and yeah, it's just the stories are incredible in this one. So yes, I will definitely pick this up again, and then I will talk about if I would recommend it or not. So based on what I have read so far, I would say I would continue reading this. Okay, so these were all the books that I have to return to the library that I could not finish. Now, coming back to the books that I did read in April and I will continue to read in May, and also some of the books that I want to add to my May TBR. So, the first one is Mother Mary Comes to Me by Arundhati Roy, and I'm halfway done with this. And when I tell you that this is definitely going to be my favorite book of the year. I mean it. I mean it. It's so good. I feel like her writing really slows me down. And it's very obvious she deeply cares about language, because every line feels handcrafted to me. I would definitely go back and reread paragraphs after reading a chapter because I wanted to sit with the writing a little longer. So I would highly, highly recommend you read this, and we can perhaps finish it together. You can tell me how you like this book, and I can share in my next video that, this is what I think about this book. So this is book number one. Okay, and next book is It Lasts Forever and Then It's Over. I got this from this indie bookstore, which I didn't know about because we were essentially, me and my best friend, we wanted to go to this farmer's market. And I checked online and it said it's going to be open, but it wasn't. And then we started walking and we reached this bookstore and I found this book and I was like, oh my God, I really want to get this. And I made the best decision because I've been in the mood to read something that's mostly just talking about thoughts. Like, I love books where the first person narrative is going on and one person is just telling about their story, what they think about other people or other characters. And this book is definitely that. You know how, like, sometimes you read a book and you keep underlining sentences because it's essentially the thought you had once, but you didn't know how to articulate it. And this book just does it in the best way possible. I'm so excited. I'm like stumbling over my words because I cannot wait to read it more. I have read this much of it and I love it. I love it so far. So yes, this is another book that I'm going to read. The next, I started reading Finding My Way by Malala Yousafzai, and every time I watch a video by her or read anything by her, I feel like she has so much clarity about who she is, and it's very refreshing to see that because anytime I read about someone who has gone through unimaginable things and still they talk about being hopeful, it just is very inspirational. So I picked this book up because I wanted to know more about her life. I obviously know about her, but I don't know more about her personal life. And this essentially talks about her, so far it talks about her Oxford experience. So her undergrad, how she was struggling with making friends because she was seen as this symbol. So even if she would go to this rowing society that she joined, so she went there wearing leggings, I think, and everyone started saying, oh my gosh, she's wearing anything other than shalwar kameez, so what's wrong with her. Yeah, it talks about her struggles with that, and um I'm really looking forward to continue reading this. Okay, then I started a short story collection by Lydia Davis, Almost No Memory. You can't see it. Let me just do this. Okay. Almost No Memory by her. Oh, there's a cover inside. Okay, I need to do this because the cover doesn't say anything. But yeah, Almost a Memory by Lydia Davis. And when I say that the reading took an unexpected turn, I mean it. She started killing cats, guys. She started killing cats. After the Edgar Allan Poe story, I thought I was done with writers killing cats, but apparently not. Not just one cat, not two cats, plural. And I am a little traumatized with this book, so I don't know if I will continue reading this or not. But I love her other book, which I just wanted to mention this video, which is The End of the Story. And it changed my brain chemistry. I read it in college and I still remember it just did something. It did something. I was a more profound person afterwards. So if you want to read something by her, I would say read The End of the Story. And I will maybe read this, maybe not. Let's see. Oh my god, then we have The Emperor of Gladness by Ocean Wong. I love his writing. I love his writing. Oh my god, I was so excited to read this book and now I have it. So I will be devouring this book as quickly as possible, and also cherishing it at the same time, like taking my time with it. But I love how tender his writing is, how honest he is with his words, and it really shows that he cares about communication. He will communicate what he wants to communicate and nothing else. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one as well. And then lastly, I have I Am by Maggie O'Farrell, and I have not started this, but I'm really looking forward to read this as well in my May reading list. So these are all the books that I want to talk about. My throat is really giving up. I've talked a lot. I think I've talked for the rest of the week. I will be, so yeah, see you guys in the next video. Thank you for listening to me ramble about my books and TBR and being here. And yes, give me book ideas, give me video ideas, give me recommendations for movies or anything that you think I should watch or will enjoy. This channel is essentially for that, so that I can have a community where I talk about books and get book recommendations, because I love to read books that are out of my reading comfort. So yes, would love if you tell me about books to read. I will definitely read them.